The petrodollar system originated in the early 1970s in the wake of the Bretton Woods collapse. President Richard M. Nixon and his globalist sidekick, Secretary of State Henry Kissinger, knew that their destruction of the international gold standard under the Bretton Woods arrangement would cause a decline in the artificial global demand of the U.S. dollar. Maintaining this artificial dollar demand was vital if the United States were to continue expanding its welfare and warfare spending. In a series of meetings, the United States, represented by then U.S. Secretary of State Henry Kissinger, and the Saudi royal family made a unique agreement. According to the agreement, the United States would offer military protection for Saudi Arabia's oil fields. The United States also agreed to provide the Saudis with military assistance, weapons, and perhaps most importantly, protection from Israel's growing military arsenal. The Saudi royal family knew a good deal when they saw one. They were more than happy to accept American military protection of their oil fields, along with assurances of intervention between themselves and neighboring Israel. Naturally, the Saudis wondered how much all of this U.S. military muscle was going to cost. What exactly did the United States want in exchange for their weapons and military protection? The Americans laid out their terms. They were simple and twofold. Number one, the Saudis must agree to price all of their oil sales in U.S. dollars only. In other words, the Saudis were to refuse all other currencies except the U.S. dollar as payment for their oil exports. And number two, the Saudis would be open to investing their surplus oil proceeds into U.S. debt securities. You can almost hear one of the Saudi officials in the meeting saying, "Really? That's all? You don't want any of our money or direct ownership of our oil? You just want to tell us how to price our oil, and then you will give us military support and protection from our enemies? You've got a deal." However, the United States had done its homework. They knew that gaining economic favor with the Saudis would be a good start to maintaining their dollar hegemony. Fast forward to 1974, and the petrodollar system was fully operational in Saudi Arabia. And as the United States had perhaps cleverly calculated, it did not take long before other oil-producing nations wanted in. By 1975, all of the oil-producing nations of OPEC had agreed to price their oil in dollars and to hold their surplus oil proceeds in U.S. government debt securities in exchange for the generous offers made by the United States. Just dangle weapons, military aid, and protection from Israel in front of third world oil-rich Middle East nations and let the bidding begin. Nixon and Kissinger had succeeded in bridging the gap between the failed Bretton Woods system and the new petrodollar system. The global artificial demand for U.S. dollars would not only remain intact, it would soar due to the increasing demand for oil around the world in the decades to come. And from the perspective of empire, this new dollars for oil system was much preferred to the former dollars for gold system because it had much less stringent economic requirements. Without the constraints imposed by a rigid gold standard, and with global oil transactions on the rise, the United States monetary base could be grown at exponential rates. It should come as no surprise that the United States maintains a major military presence in much of the oil-rich Persian Gulf region to this day, including the following countries: Bahrain, Iraq, Kuwait, Oman, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, Egypt, Israel, Jordan, and Yemen. The truth is hard to find when you look to the corporate-controlled mainstream media, but it is simple when you follow the money.
Kennedy Financial. Kennedy Financial.